what's important about culture and the arts, beyond and including the essential decarbonising. So I'm just going to go through what Culture Declares Emergency is, why culture, some pathways to action that are kind of frameworks that we present, but they're not supposed to be restrictive, they're really kind of ideas to bounce off. A process of what making a declaration might look like, and then importantly the way that we're organised, which is in a distributed, non-hierarchical network of hubs, and why localism is so important to what we do and how we approach this. And then I'll just go through some of the other ways of getting involved, our digital platform, the offer, Declarers Breakfast, and some of our plans that you could get involved in, hopefully, in 2023. And my aim really is to get things to Declare. Okay, so Culture Declares was created in 2019, and it was inspired by some of the local authorities who were declaring a climate emergency at the time. And the call to action has then been taken up by other declaring movements like music, architecture, health, heritage, business, and tourism. There's always been a loose collaboration between those groups, but now we're working towards, with the sort of ever tumbling emergency, to a more formalised alliance of declaring movements. So there's a growing understanding at the time of the vital role the culture and the arts play in making us shift from really a degenerative culture to a more regenerative one. And the sense, yes, decarbonising our practice and our operations is very important, but also culture and the arts has a role in interrogating and challenging the status quo and inspiring and restoring and co-creating a more interconnected and just future. So that's by way of your relationships with your audiences, the sorts of programming you produce, and your other kind of outreach kind of projects that you engage with. These are the vision, missions, values. I'm not into that. The vision to the cultural sector is a leading contributor in creating a regenerative future that protects the planet and sustains everyone everywhere. And that's the important justice issue that's crucial, climate justice, to these conversations. The mission is to grow, support and mobilise movements of declarers in the UK cultural sector and inspire and work with others internationally. And the values are underpinned by truth-telling, action-taking and justice-seeking. So the idea is to expand the perception about the role of culture beyond decarbonising, although very crucial, and to take a focus away from purely technical solutions and consider the power of culture and the arts in truth-telling, exploring, decolonising, adaptation, because some of these, the effects of the climate breakdown are baked in, local transition, supporting your local communities, global sustainable development, cultural therapy, that's looking after people whilst we cope with the inevitable crisis that's going to come about, and igniting ecological innovation. So these are the pathways that we've sort of sketched out that could be taken. So some of you might be aware of Kate Moore's donut economics, which is a different economic strategy than beyond infinite growth economics on a finite planet. So this would take place, her model takes place within the confines of our planetary boundaries. So we draw out pathways to action that sort of are modelled around Kate Moore's economics proposals. And they're focus on how, sorry, I'll go through this properly, I will go through them. So the first pathway, which I think I put up, was support transitions by your local community. So this might be how you can be an agent for change within your community, helping people to places to become healthy, sustainable and resilient. In particular, can you help community transition from dependence on harmful, economic processes or harmful capitalism? The second pathway, adapt to impacts and protect heritage. So this pathway focuses on helping ecosystems, human places and systems to adapt to and be resilient to the impacts of climate and ecological breakdown. So that includes mitigation from harm, but also from damaged ecosystems and extreme weather impacts. And like I say, these are baked in, so there's some important questions around literally protecting our venues and our heritage sites. Making efforts at adaptations, these are essential and urgent. And again here, and this ties in really with the kind of providing cultural therapy and care is, what are you doing as venues to protect and to support your communities? There are some places who are, I know in the heritage and museum sector, who would be providing warm spaces for people who are, struggling to keep their homes. This is immediate sort of care of communities. So yeah, decarbonising cultural practices, I don't need to go into that about the Green Book and doing a very important work that's associated with that. Ecological innovation and design. So that's really supporting, the emergence of regenerative projects in design through creativity and culture and technology. I've talked about cultural therapy and care, and then decolonising culture and cultural practices, which is really thinking about cultural capital. Who's in the conversation, who's not. Are you thinking about reparations to enable people who are historically not involved to become involved, and thinking about your own positions of power to enable those conversations and justice are so important, so we're not replicating the systems that have got us into this mess in the first place. And then of course the most truth-telling through the arts and education, which is really using the arts and your programming to challenge systems, to engage critical thinking, and also to support sort of imaginations about more regenerative and just futures. But of course, these are not the only pathways to action that you'll have within, what's relevant to your communities would be, the important thing is to find out what is important, what's going to be important to them. And once you've found that, we would, when you think you can do any of these or other things, we would urge you to come and share that knowledge and declare through Culture Declares. We have a big sort of knowledge sharing network. It's about supporting people. It's about joining our campaigns nationally and internationally, but also through our hub system, there's a big kind of community, local communities to network and support one another. So these are some of the theatre companies who have already declared. You probably can't see that, but yeah, the most important thing really in making a declaration is just the first step. It doesn't have to be a big, thorough process. It's making a commitment in some way to join that conversation. There are no red lines about whether you're fit enough or whether you've decarbonised enough. You really, you will, come along, share your challenges, share your ideas. Yeah, so it's not, it could be as simple as a tweet. Obviously, there are more or less of challenges to making a declaration, depending on whether you've got board of trustees you need to bring with you. But really, it's a process. It's the beginning of a journey. So yes, so Culture Declares is organised around we have a distributed organising approach, which again is looking, the reason for that is thinking about bottom-up emergence rather than I know all the ideas, I know the solutions. So it's a very important principle of the way Culture Declares emerges, is to listen to local communities, to respond to local community concerns in ways that they understand, and to network and collaborate with across education, arts, culture, local authority, social services to respond to local concerns. So there are hubs, and relevant to this group, there's a hub in the South East Coast, who are very active. There's another one east of England again, fantastic group of people. Hocus Pocus Theatre, we're involved with that. So you can find those contacts on our website. There's another one in South East London emerging. So it's very, those conversations that are important to you will be shared with others within your local community. There are hubs internationally. There's a hub in Australia that's First Nations led. There's one in India. There's another one in Uganda, in Germany, a couple in France. So all the time people are coming together to support one another and form hubs just based around vision, mission and values. So the only criteria for taking action or for declaring is to be in alignment of vision, mission and action. There's no permission. You go off and do it in the way that makes sense for you. So aside from maybe getting involved in a hub, there are other platforms we have. So we have a virtual platform, events platform called The Offer, and we've got an exciting event on the 26th of October, which is called What on Earth is Going On, which is sort of a pre-COP. It's talking about how the cultural sector can support in alliance with other organisations, either attending COP or addressing some of all these issues that are interconnected, the wars, the conflict, the pandemic, biodiversity loss, environmental collapse. They all come under this sort of umbrella term of climate change, but they're all intersecting crises, which are created arguably by culture. And if culture creates them, culture also has the solution. And culture and the arts as a sector has a massive power and influence in those conversations. So this will be focusing across our declaring movements on how we can address and support each other in this period over November whilst COP takes place. But the offer goes on throughout the year, and it's online and it's dropping. And then we have declarer breakfasts. So if you're a new declarer or an existing declarer who wants something to share, so it's about knowledge sharing, it's about, I've declared, what now? How can I find people in my area? So it's a sharing and support platform and space. And the next one of those is the 13th of November. We also have peer-to-peer learning for engaging in the conversation around decolonising and also localism. How and why would you create a local hub, and how would you do it in a sort of ethical way that is inclusive. So I think there's a series of those starting in November. Again, that's online. So our plans for 2023 is we do our evaluation around a hashtag called Culture Takes Action. We collect stories. So whatever actions take place, we urge people to use this hashtag. So the plan for 2023 is that we are starting a series of events on Earth Day in April and running right through to 4th of November when there's Change Festival at the Warwick Arts Centre. And throughout that period, we've got various things happening in four hubs, but that will be the particular period where we invite people to get together, to create actions nationally and internationally, and join a campaign for change, basically. So that there'll be a framework for that coming out in probably before Christmas. And that's it. Again, I'm around all day. I'm really happy to talk to people about some of the things I've said. And if you're interested in declaring and have any reservations or want to know more, please come and ask me.
Thank you.